Welcome, 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 YouTube. Here's another video on some strategies that I've worked out for Total War Shogun 2. Now, as a fair warning, I do use the Master of Strategy mod overhaul for this footage. However, the general principle applies for all Shogun 2. This can work in both Sengoku Jidai and also in the Fall of the Samurai. It doesn't strictly require Neil Fire for your troops. In order for this to work, it can work with Fire by rank, however Neil Fire is preferable. So what I'm going to show you here is what I've discovered in order to make gun units more effective, not just at skirmishing, but just more effective in general. So here's the issue. You want to have more guns firing on the enemy. However, you've got a limited frontage that you can deploy guns along where they're actually going to be useful, because if you end up deploying wider than your enemy, you end up either having to use your men to flank them and fire into them from the sides, which usually means your missile units are going to get flanked either by infantry or cavalry, which if you can't hold the enemy down, that's a bit of an issue. Or you're just going to be able to not shoot them at all with the extra missile units you have on your flank, unless they're bows, so they can fire over your own men. So this is an idea I've come up with in order to try and solve that issue, where you can have more units than you typically would, all being able to fire on the enemy with all of their guns. So what I've done here is I've just got some bow samurai. I use this bit of a ruler. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 units here, which spread out so that they make a line 2 ranks deep, which is what my gun units are, because I'm using Neil Fire with this. I'm using a mod that gives Neil Fire to Sengoku Jidai units in paired with this overhaul. So what you can see here is you've got 4 lengths of 4 units, and then you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 gun units. So you've got double the amount of gun units as you have these units. So if you were to spread these gun units out, the line would be twice as long as this, and that would be fairly ineffective, or at least not very efficient in order to shoot at your enemy. So what I've done here is I've made this sort of zigzag formation, which does limit your maximum range, as we'll see. Typically, if you did deploy them all in a line like this, that have a range of about 200, I'd estimate in terms of if you use Neil Fire, or even if you're using ranked fire, any of your men in your front row or more towards the point that's facing the enemy can fire, but the enemy has to get closer before the ones in the back are actually in range. So each individual man has a range of maximum range of 200, and not the unit as a whole, which is an interesting discovery. But that means that when the enemy gets closer, all your units will be able to fire, all your men, and you've done a bit of a zigzag shape. Experimented with having them all facing one way and doing a line like that. That wasn't particularly effective. However, this I discovered to be very effective, and if the enemy do charge you with melee units and you don't have time to pull out, they'll either go for one or the other, and you'll have the other one very close on hand to be able to fire back into melee units. So that's a secondary bonus that's actually quite valuable. So I'll demonstrate this first of all here, and then after this battle I'll show you how to integrate it into some other formations and another formation that I'd come up with previously. So here we go. So over here, in order to provide something to shoot at, we've got 3 units of Yari Yoshikari, 220 men strong. Typically, you wouldn't be able to take out this many men, even with the Master of Strategy mod, which makes gun units far superior to what they are in vanilla. You wouldn't be able to stop a charge like this. You'd have to skirmish a bit and then retreat behind a melee line and let it weather the charge. However, as you can see here, the morale is taking a significant hit, and quite a lot of units able to fire. As you can see, all men are able to fire here. Here, not so much, because typically you would have enemy more over here as well. Oh, but there we go, yep. So almost everyone along this line, except for maybe around this part of this unit, and this entire unit as a whole is able to fire on the incoming enemy. So there you go. That's a quick demonstration there. So after this we'll quickly jump into another replay and show you how to integrate this more into a integrate it in as well as melee troops, and what it looks like if you do get successfully charged, and kind of how to deal with it, because this is a little bit of a specialist formation. Thankfully, however, it's not too hard to set the formation up in the first place, which I think the next replay will show that. So as you can see, yep, that's not bad. Excuse my excessive amount of replays. And here we go. And here we are back again with the second replay. So what I've got here is I've got a standard spear square formation, which check out my 2 previous videos for more details on that. You will see it demonstrated, the strength of this formation in this video, but I won't really be discussing it because I've already made 2 videos on that. As we'll see here, I have my skirmish units lined up in one long line, 3 ranks deep, which is not how they're going to be when they make contact with the enemy. So we'll see how I get the formation set up. So now that you've got them, and you want their ranks deeper than how you're actually going to have them fire. So here I've got because their ranks are more squished together, and then I make them 2 ranks deep. It makes the units overlap. And then what I've done here is I just selected this unit, this unit, this unit, and this unit, and I've used the button down at the little part of the screen here to tell them all to rotate that way, and then vice versa with all the other units to tell them to rotate the other way. So it's not difficult to set up this formation. On Legendary it might be a bit difficult because you can't pause, but it shouldn't be that much trouble. But as we can see here, it's causing absolute devastation. So that was a unit of 180 men, and after I think that's 2 or 3 volleys, it's down to 52. So it does allow you to bring significant firepower to bear. As we can see here, an attempted melee charge, so you're getting fire from this unit and this unit simultaneously. And that, my friends, is why you do never underestimate enfilading fire. So because of the angle of fire of all these units, because it is a zigzag, you get a lot of enfilading fire. So not only do you get stray bullets that miss their target, go through and hit the next rank of men, you also get them moving diagonally, which has more men between when the bullet enters the formation and goes out the formation, so it's more chances of you being able to hit something by the time the bullet's made its all the way through the formation. So here we see another example again what happens when you get charged with this formation. So this cavalry is going to engage this unit. This unit is going to fire on that cavalry and neutralize it. So here we see with the spear square, enfilading fire, it's, the diagonal nature of the fire really does suit the spear square strategy, where you do want more of a diagonal fire in order to miss your own units. So it appears to be very effective. So as we can see here, with each successive charge that the enemy's made and my men, I've been able to fire off a few volleys at them. These guys are a bit distracted at the moment, but that's alright. They're not too important, this is just a proof of concept. So as we can see here, the enemy's already routed. As I said before, in Master of Strategy, there's firearms are a lot more powerful, they do a lot more morale damage than they do in vanilla, as far as I understand it. So, as a fair warning, this does tend to give you more morale victories than it does wiping the enemy out, so you do typically want effective cavalry in order to chase down retreating enemies to make your victory absolute and ensure that they can't come back on the following turn in campaign. Although Shogun 2 is fairly generous with auto-resolving fleeing units after the end of a battle. So as we can see, yep, that's it. So typically you have your units out here, moving forward, skirmish with the enemy, they charge you, you move back behind your spear formation, whatever that formation tends to be. For me it's spear square, and then do whatever you do in order to make your matchlocks effective for the rest of the battle. For me that's spear square and having them fire on the enemy. So finishing up the battle here, and yes, I do remember I let it go on for a while. So I'll quickly switch over to the third recording, show you how to effectively use cavalry with this, because simply due to the nature of the formation it does prevent a few difficulties with using some of the cavalry, and also a few opportunities for how you can use cavalry a little differently. So be back in a moment. Alright, and here we are for the last replay, and I'll show you. Oh, a lot of orders given at once. As we can see here, somewhat dense laying out of the units. Then you want to bring them all into bring them all to 2 ranks deep, as you'll see in a moment. Once I'm done micromanaging whatever I'm micromanaging. So just so you know, I do have some hand borders here, which helps with slowing down charging enemies. Just trying to get the formation perfect here. And there you go. Now that you've got everything in formation, you can create a selection group, lock the formation. And I'll show you here in a moment. How to stagger your cavalry within this formation. So I had planned to do some skirmishing here. I do have some lance cavalry, and arquebus cavalry. So that's more skirmish cav. So use the cavalry in order to cover the units as they move up. Not entirely necessary, as these guys do have meal fire, so they don't fire very slowly like they do with fire by rank. But it's always good to have cover. So what I'm doing here is I'm putting my arquebus cavalry inside this formation. So if I get charged in here or in here, they're able to cover me effectively. The same for here. So with these two arquebus cavalry, I'm effectively able to provide support against melee charges from here, 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 and here. Also, with these lance cavalry, I'm also able to provide support for any cavalry that decides to flank, and likewise over here. So that's the general strategy here. As we can see, a skirmish battle and infantry moving up. Just watch the carnage. And that's our hand mortars over there, which are significantly more powerful in the Master of Strategy mod as they are in vanilla. So they're actually worth picking up. Not going well for these guys. So as we can see here, melee charge coming in. I have my cavalry stay. Get some hand mortars to slow the charge. That's alright. Broke the charge. Now here we are. The smoke doesn't particularly help. And now we see here a mass mobilization of the enemy. So in response to this, I pull my guns back, move my men into spear square, and move my cavalry up in order to cover my men. Now, this was a bit of a mistake, sending arquebus cavalry in against melee cavalry. Thankfully here there was a more favourable matchup on this side of the line. But the Portuguese lances will make quick work of any enemy cavalry. So now that my skirmishers have made themselves back behind the line, I pull back my cavalry and allow the beauty of the spear square formation to do its work. Which is namely, enemies get stuck on it, and guns fire into the backs of the enemies. So one of my arquebus cavalry did in fact rout, the other one I've sat here, much like I did before. I probably should have moved around the side in order to make more effective use of flanking. These are veteran Nodachi samurai, which is one of the highest tier of samurai, the veteran tier, which is only one below hero tier, and they're not looking so good. So we get a mass rout all along the line here. Ideally, I would be sending my cavalry around here to clean them up. However, at the time I was a little bit busy microing things around this end. I do use cavalry to chase down fleeing enemies and got the head from that. The general's come back up, and he's gone. One last unit yet to rout here. And my troops have pulled forward and taken care of that. So that's the battle, folks. Hope you enjoyed, and I hope this strategy is able to work effectively for you in field battles in future. Still yet to work out a way to make gun units particularly effective during sieges, but that's alright. So for now, good luck and have fun.